Good afternoon and welcome to the Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Lamar A., serving as today's service associate. This afternoon, Peter J. will share our message. We're so glad you're here. Whether you come seeking inspiration, connection, or simply a moment of peace.
You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. So open your heart and listen. So open your heart and listen. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. So open your heart and listen. So open your heart and listen. You are welcome here. You are welcome here. You are welcome.
May you find within our gathering here a sense of belonging, and may your spirit be nourished by what you discover here today, soon. We gather today in the spirit of lives lived with intention. Lives that ask not only, what do I believe, but how shall I live? Albert Schweitzer called his answer reverence for life. The recognition that all living things share a will to exist, and that our own humanity deepens when we honor that will in others. Today, we're fortunate to hear from someone who not merely read about that philosophy, but lived alongside the man who embodied it. May we listen with open hearts. If you're new and would like to receive our newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of our welcome team or write to us at LCUUF.org. And of course, whether you are new to our fellowship or longtime participants, know that all of us are welcome and that we are glad you are with us. As is our practice here at LCUUF, if there's anyone who's visiting with us for the first time or who has returned or reconnected after a long absence, we would love to know that. So we're going to have a microphone passed, and when it is passed, if you're willing, please raise your hand and the microphone will be brought to you. We ask that you speak your name into the mic and tell us where you are from. Later, those of you who are on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box, and later it will be read aloud in the fellowship. We'll start with the people in the room. who's willing to raise their hand, please? Anybody new, returning, welcome us? Not too shy? Oh, goodness gracious, thank you.
Debbie Hoagland, and we've come to listen to our friend Peter. We're from Ajijic.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Linda Jeschofnig. I'm the wife of your speaker. We've been happily, well, most of the time, married for 48 years now. And I actually picked him up at the Unitarian Church on Fadden in Houston, Texas, 48 years ago.
So anyway, welcome to everyone. And is this placement better? All of you visitors and all of our members and friends. Here at Lake Chapala Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, each week we have something unique. Reflections from our minister, Reverend Matt Alspaugh, as well as insights from members and guest speakers. And we do warmly invite you to return and check us out, journey through this ever-folding landscape of thought, spirit, and belief. Today, our chalice lighting words are by Eric A. Heller-Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit, touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow in every life. Now, having lit our chalice, let us sing these words together. We can go this light Each week we come together to lament with, celebrate with, and care for one another. Each week we take a few minutes to acknowledge and share what's real in our lives. There is power in the sharing as we hold each other in community. We'll begin again here in the room to allow those joining us on Zoom to share by chat. So if you have a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone to share, please raise your hand and the microphone will be brought to you. One sentence or two is enough. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Heidi McLennan. Sorry, I'm Heidi McLennan. I want to celebrate the life of a very good friend that I lost yesterday in Portland, Oregon. She and I and another mutual friend, Grace, my good friend, lost a friend with dementia and multiple other issues. And I mourn her loss. We were a group. We were 3 people that joined in many, many things, and I miss her terribly. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tim. Seeking your thoughts and prayers for my wife's mom, who lives in the Dominican Republic. She's in the last stages of her life at about 94, I think, and not doing particularly well. Lots of pain and can't move, can't see. And Norris is rather distressed being here, and she can't get there right now to be with her. So your thoughts and prayers for that situation would be appreciated. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Lynn, and I just wanted to say how pleased we are that our mom, my mom, who will be 96 in August, left our house Tuesday all by herself in a taxi, and she's going to Florida, then Missouri, then Colorado to see my 3 siblings and then she'll be home in 6 weeks.
We have a joy and concern. Our daughter Emily is here visiting. She came down because her dog was going to have ACL surgery for torn ligament here, but we discovered the dog has cancer, so we are hoping Rosie will get through her cancer so she can get through her ACL surgery.
Hi, I'm Devora, and as much as I love living in Ajijic, I leave in May to go back to New Hampshire, where my son let me know last Monday or Tuesday it snowed. I'm not really looking forward to that, but I'm looking forward to time with my kids and my friends and my home church. And I get to spend the first week at Ferry Beach, which is a UU conference center on the coast of Maine. It won't be swimming weather, but it will be at the beach, and that counts for a lot.
Hi, I'm Ted, and about a week and a half ago, Priscilla and I got notified by my son's wife, Christy, that her dad, who they originally thought had pneumonia, in fact has widespread metastatic cancer. And we would just like you all to keep him in your thoughts.
Are there any joys, sorrows, and milestones that were shared on Zoom this afternoon?
Yes. Roy is celebrating his 11th wedding anniversary today, which he says he and his spouse forgot until about an hour ago. And then as a joy, Colleen shares that she just returned from California, where she got to meet her new baby grandnephew, Jamie, and my joy is baby grandniece, Luce. What a joy a new generation brings.
Thanks. That's all? Okay, and we're going to light this candle to represent the joys and sorrows spoken and witnessed today, as well as those we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. Let us share a moment of silence. We pass the baskets during our worship service to make a community expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance to visibly bring in the harvest of the most cherished hour of our week. Please know that each of the 6 charitable organizations here at Lakeside twice a year receive monies collected at our services. For April, we will be donating to Operation Feed. The description is on the monitors. As we pass the baskets, if you are new here today, or you are struggling yourselves to hold things together, please let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. The morning offering will now be given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. May this offering sustain and grow the life and work of this congregation. May we use these gifts to foster love and justice in the world. Our opening hymn is Gather the Spirit. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing. Today's reading is a compilation of quotes by Albert Schweitzer.
We must fight against the spirit of unconscious cruelty with which we treat the animals. Animals suffer as much as we do. True humanity does not allow us to impose such sufferings on them. It is our duty to make the whole world recognize it. Until we extend our circle of compassion to all living things, humanity will not find peace.
Until he extends the circle of his compassion to all living things, man will not himself find peace.
Seek always to do some good somewhere, even if it's a little thing to do, something for those that need help, something for which you get no pay but the privilege of doing it.
No one can give a definition of the soul, but we know what it feels like. The soul is the sense of something higher than ourselves, something that stirs in us thoughts, hopes, and aspirations which go out to the world of goodness, truth, and beauty. The soul is a burning desire to breathe in this world of light and never to lose it, to remain children of light.
The only thing of importance when we depart will be the traces of love we have left behind. Good afternoon. Before I tell you about my own experience in Gabon, I want to spend a few minutes introducing the man at the center of it all. Because Albert Schweitzer was not simply a doctor in the jungle, he was one of the most extraordinary human beings of the 20th century. Albert Schweitzer was born in 1875 in Kaisersberg in the Alsace region, a borderland that has shuffled between France and Germany throughout history. That bicultural identity shaped him profoundly. He grew up speaking both German and French, thinking in both traditions, and ultimately refusing to belong entirely to either. By his early 30s, Schweitzer had already achieved what most people would consider several lifetimes' worth of accomplishments. He earned doctorates in both philosophy and theology from the University of Strasbourg, and he became one of the foremost Bach scholars in the world, not merely an academic authority, but a concert organist of international reputation. He wrote a landmark study of Bach that is still read today, and he devoted considerable energy to the restoration of pipe organs across Europe. His theological work was equally groundbreaking and equally controversial. In his landmark book, The Quest of the Historical Jesus, published in 1906, Schweitzer challenged the comfortable assumptions of liberal Christianity. He argued that Jesus was not a timeless moral teacher whose message could be easily adapted to modern sensibilities, but a figure of his own apocalyptic time, one whose vision of the coming kingdom of God was urgent, radical, and deeply Jewish. This was not what many theologians wanted to hear, but Schweitzer's conclusion to his audience. And then, at the age of 30, he made a decision that astonished his colleagues. He enrolled in medical school. He would become a doctor, he said, and go to Africa to serve. He had read about the desperate need for medical care in what was then French Equatorial Africa, and he felt a personal obligation to respond. His friends thought that he had lost his mind. He went anyway. In 1913, Schweitzer and his wife, Helene, arrived in Lambaréné in present-day Gabon and built a small clinic on the banks of the Oge River. The early years were extraordinarily difficult. Limited supplies, tropical diseases, the interruption of 2 world wars, periods of internment as a German national on French soil. But he kept returning, he kept building. Over the decades, what began as a single consulting room grew into a sprawling, unconventional hospital compound that served thousands of patients each year. What guided all of this was a philosophy Schweitzer called Reverence for life, Ehrfurcht vor dem Leben in German. The idea came to him, he later wrote, in a flash of inspiration during a river journey in 1915. It is deceptively simple. All that life has an inherent will to live, and that the truly ethical person recognizes and honors that will in every creature, not just in fellow human beings. He wrote, I'm life which wills to live, in the midst of life which wills to live. Ethics is nothing other than reverence for life. Reverence for life affords me my fundamental principle of morality, namely that good consists in maintaining, assisting, and enhancing life, and that to destroy, to harm, or to hinder life is evil. This was not an abstract philosophy. It shaped everything at Lambaréné, the way patients were treated, the animals that wandered freely around the compound, the emphasis on communal living over clinical efficiency. Schweitzer refused to draw sharp lines between human welfare and the welfare of other creatures. That was considered eccentric in his time. In ours, it sounds almost prophetic. In 1952, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, using the prize money to expand the hospital's leprosy treatment facilities. He was by then a global icon. Though one was continued to live simply, sleep in a modest room, and eat the same table as his staff. He died in Lambaréné in September 1965 at the age of 90. He had left just a few months. I had just left a few months before. I did not know when I said goodbye to him that I was saying goodbye for the last time. Now let me tell you what it was actually to live with him. In 1964, I was 21 years old, hitchhiking across Africa. My ride dropped me at the Lambaréné, and I made my way to the edge of the Oge River. I took a pirogue, a dugout canoe, across to the hospital. The paddler was missing several fingers on both hands, almost certainly a leprosy patient. I dropped the coins for the crossing into his open palm, feeling a pang of guilt and uncertainty. The air was thick with humidity and the sound of birds I had never heard before. That crossing set the tone for everything that followed. The hospital was nothing like what I had expected. It was less a medical institution than a small, self-contained village. There was no electricity in the staff quarters or the dining hall. We relied on kerosene lamps. Only the operating theater had a generator. Patients lived not in isolated wards, but in a communal compound with their families, who helped care for them. This was Schweitzer's deliberate choice. He believed healing required community, not just medicine. My days began at sunrise. I assisted doctors and nurses in the ward, helped organize health education programs, tended the vegetable garden, and most memorably cared for chimpanzees. The chimps had been injured by traps set by local hunters, often losing a limb. My job was to administer medications, change bandages, and simply be with them. I learned quickly that they needed more than medicine. They needed trust and play, interaction. I spent hours in their enclosures. One chimpa named Kiki had lost a leg, but had not lost her spirit. She found ways to swing and climb that humbled me. Years later, reading Jane Goodall's accounts from Gombe, I kept recognizing behaviors I had first observed in those encounters. I also participated in conversations with local villagers about wildlife and conservation, dedicated discussions, because many of the hunters set traps not out for cruelty, but out of necessity and habit. Navigating those conversations taught me something about the difference between condemning a practice and trying to understand it. And then there was Schweitzer himself. Most of the staff and volunteers were French speakers. Very few spoke German, his mother tongue. I think he missed it. He began inviting me to accompany him on his walks around the compound in the evenings. I was 21 years old, and this man was a living legend. I was probably too intimidated to ask him many of the questions I wish I had, but I listened. He asked about my childhood in Austria, my travels across Africa. He was genuinely curious, not just performing. One thing that is not often in the books is how he ended up in medicine. He wanted to be a missionary, and his church turned him down. They said, we don't need missionaries, we need doctors. And that's the reason he went to medical school at the age of 30. One evening, he gave me advice I have never forgotten. Go home and finish your education. You're too smart to spend your life as a white Bwana in Africa. I had read portions of his writings on Reverence for Life before arriving, and I had listened to his dinner table sermons. He would read from the New Testament every evening, first in German, then in French, and offer brief commentary in both languages. The long table with the most senior staff seated closest to him always reminded me of the Last Supper. I sat at the second table with the new volunteers. The other volunteers were extraordinary in their own right. Joan, a British nurse, had cycled across Africa to reach Lambaréné and eventually became head nurse. Siegfried, a middle-aged German, had been there for years. He once pulled me out of the Auger River when I was in danger of drowning. An American former Peace Corps volunteer was planning a long stay. There was a young Frenchman who returned to France each year and came back again. These were people who had made real choices at real cost to be in that place. I also met Schweitzer's daughter, Rena Eckert, who visited periodically, and I spent time at the nearby leprosy station, a place of both suffering and remarkable community. The stigma around leprosy was enormous, but the patients I met there had built something warm and human together, sustained in part by ethos that permeated the entire compound. My 6 months there were not without hardship, malaria, long hours, moments of doubt. But I left Gabon changed in ways I am still discovering. I left with different understanding of medicine, of care, of what it means to take seriously the lives of others, human and animal alike. So why talk about Albert Schweitzer today? He died 60 years ago. The world has changed dramatically, and his legacy, I should be honest with you, is complicated. Some of the criticism is fair. His hospital operated on a paternalistic model that reflected the colonial assumption of his era. He has been criticized for not doing more to train and elevate African medical staff, for treating Africans as recipients of charity rather than as partners. He once made the remarks about African people that were considered condescending at best. These are real failures, and they deserve acknowledgement. But I think there is a difference between dismissing a life's work because it was imperfect and asking what endures. What remains genuinely worth carrying forward? What endures, I believe, is the philosophical core, Reverence for Life, which now seems to be not antiquated but remarkably ahead of its time. We are living through a moment of unprecedented ecological disruption. Climate change, species extinction, deforestation, the collapse of ecosystems that took millions of years to develop, these are no abstractions. They are the defining moral challenges of our era and the ethical framework most of us still operate within, one that draws a sharp line between human interests and all other life, is exactly the framework Schweitzer spent his life questioning. His insistence that ethics must extend beyond the human community, that we cannot be truly moral while treating the rest of life as resources to be consumed, was not popular in 1915. It is urgently relevant now. The environmental movement, animal rights philosophy, the growing field of ecological ethics, these did not emerge from nowhere. They draw, whether they acknowledge it or not, on tradition that Schweitzer helped establish. His model of engaged service also speaks to something we still need. In an age of performative concern, of slacktivism, the value expressed through social media rather than sacrifice, there's something bracing about a man who had every reason to stay comfortable in Europe and choose instead of spend 50 years in jungle building something real. He was not without contradictions, but he showed up, he stayed, he kept working. For me personally, Schweitzer demonstrated that a life can hold many things at once: scholarship and service, music and medicine, contemplation and action. He refused the false choice between the life of the mind and the life of engagement. The refusal has been a model for me ever since. He also embodied something that the Unitarian Universalist tradition values deeply: a commitment to follow conscience wherever it leads, even when it defies convention, even when it costs something. His theological work was unorthodox. His medical career was unexpected. His philosophy was difficult. He did not make any of it easy on himself, but he lived according to what he believed, a great personal cost over the course of a very long life. I stood at the edge of the Ogie River in 1964, a 21-year-old with a backpack and no real plan, and took a pirogue across a hospital I had read about, but could barely imagine. 6 months later, I left with something I'm still unpacking. Albert Schweitzer told me to go home and finish my education. I did. But I carried Lambaréné with me, and I carry it still. Not as a nostalgic memory, but as a reminder that it is possible, difficult, imperfect, costly, and possible to try to live according to what you actually believe. Thank you. Sorry you got so...
A closing hymn. This is my song. Reverend Kimberly DeBoosh notes that she sometimes thinks of the words in this song as the first principle on a national and global level, that if we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, we must also affirm and promote the inherent worth and spirit of each nation. Please join in body or in spirit and join us in singing this song of peace.
This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for
have heard today of a young man who crossed a river in a dugout canoe and found on the other side a way of seeing the world he has carried ever since. Schweitzer believed that ethics is not a set of rules, but a practice of attention. Attention to the life around us, human and animal, familiar and strange. May we leave this hour a little more attentive. May we ask as he asked, not only what we can take from this world, but what we owe it. Go in peace and with reverence. And now we're going to extinguish our chalice. Let us extinguish our chalice with these words which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose. Wiley's going to pray for us, and Christy sings.
From the light of days remembered shines a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul